I would say my graduate advisor, Will Cunningham. He's a professor at University of Toronto. He was really the person who got me into social neuroscience and still remains a great friend. I just went up to Toronto and visited him and stayed at his place last week. And it's one of those great things about science that you make lifelong friends. I suggest that you do as much research about it as you can. If you're unsure about applying to it, then you can reach out to former students who are there, look at faculty profiles and papers online. If you're at the interview stage, then you should be assertive about finding out anything you need to know about the school. Ask the professors and the current graduate students about the program, and just find out as much information as you can. And if you can travel and check it out and meet people, often that's the best way to see if your concerns are valid or not, and just to get a feel for the place I think is really important. But what you should look for is, in terms of a PhD program, is a great supervisor and a great program. So look at a supervisor who is publishing exciting papers in top journals, and more importantly, that a supervisor who's encouraging their students to publish top papers in those journals. And then also interpersonal fit. Look for a place where you feel like you can connect with these people, talk to them in terms of the professor, but also the students in their lab and throughout the program. I think that's something that will make graduate school a lot of fun and much more productive. Yeah, I think the biggest advice is read about as many courses as you can in the calendar and find the ones that sound exciting to you and sit in on them, at least for the first day, and look at the syllabus and try to get a read on things that you think are really exciting. And it's a great time to be learning about psychology and neuroscience. I feel like there's so many new methods and technologies and breakthroughs happening all the time. So I think you should take as many courses as you can. You can start to sit in on public lectures. The best thing I would suggest, and it really helped me get excited, was actually doing research. So if you can look at professor profiles on websites, contact the professor, send them your CV, send them maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs about why you're interested in their research, and ask them if you can volunteer to work in their lab. And if you work in 1 or 2 labs, hopefully you'll find a project that really excites you, and then it could be the opportunity for kind of a more expanded research project like an honors thesis, or potentially graduate school like a PhD program down the road. And so I think that's where the opportunities to really get involved in science get extremely exciting and fun. My first 2 years of undergrad, I was a first generation university student, so I didn't know what university was about. That it was fundamentally about doing research and learning new things. And so I went through my classes and I used it mainly as an opportunity to have fun and cut loose and spend lots of time with my friends partying. And it wasn't until I started to take classes that I found really exciting that I shifted and became much more serious about my courses. And so I fundamentally believe that part of university is finding something you're passionate about. And once you do, then marks come naturally. I found that it was much easier to study when you're excited about reading something and understanding something than it was in a course where you had very little interest intrinsically in the topic. And so after that point, I went very much from like a chronic underachiever to probably a chronic overachiever. And it was really just a matter of finding something that I was passionate about and excited about studying. So one myth that I think is prominent in psychology is the notion that there's 2 parts of the brain, system 1 and system 2. And system 1 is about emotion and it's automatic and it's outside our consciousness, and system 2 is cognitive and controlled and unemotional. And once you look under the hood and start to understand how the brain operates, it's really impossible to see how it could be cleanly divided into these 2 systems. And in fact, there's many systems in the brain and subsystems, and they're highly interactive and dynamic and unfold in ways that are very different from many of the models in psychology that really want to break the brain up into 2 systems. In my second year of my graduate program, I met a brand new faculty member on his very first day, Will Cunningham, And he was at the forefront of social neuroscience and using MRI to test questions about social psychology. And at the time, my advisor actually passed away, and I was orphaned for a while, and went to work in Will's lab, and quickly became fascinated by the brain and what it could tell us about the human mind and psychology. And once I realized that I could use neuroscience to understand more about human social relations and social psychology, it became really fascinating to me, and it's something that I've grabbed onto and never let go. So my research really falls within the domain of social neuroscience, and what we're fundamentally interested in is how the social context and social motivations and social group affiliations change how we see other people in the world around us. So one of my favorite experiments that I ran as a graduate student was looking how the brain responds to people as part of your in-group or an out-group. And so we put people in mixed-race teams, and we had them go in the scanner, and we did functional magnetic resonance imaging. And we examined the responses in their brain, in particular their amygdala, to in-group and out-group members, and we found that there was greater amygdala activity to in-group members. And that was one of my first papers as a graduate student.